Alright, hey guys, this is actually now my third take of this video. I actually originally did upload the second take, but it got cut off way too abruptly, so I just thought, I'd redo this video, and I thought I rambled a bit in that one too, so I'm starting to ramble now, but I'll get right onto it. Alright, so I finally got that tripod. And I actually tried it out and it works fairly well. I actually got it for $2 at on eBay from a Chinese company, I believe. Took around 3 weeks to get here, but $2 shipping. Honestly, like, you just can't beat that. So yeah, I finally got it, and I'm gonna use it for this video, and hopefully it improves, the wobbliness, and at least my fingers will definitely not get in the way. But yeah, I haven't made a video in the nighttime in a while, and But I did some budget lighting, like you see up there. There's one light, and then there's this light. So hopefully, it doesn't look too bad. But yeah, okay. I guess the beginning part, I kind of did this in the second video as well. I'll just do a slight talk about a couple things, update you guys on some things in my life. Nothing crazy, but yeah, I'll get on right to it. I was actually about to make this video on Saturday, I believe, and thing was, I came back from SoCal to NorCal that day. I was a little tired, and UFC 202 was going on, and I just couldn't miss UFC 202 because it's Nate Diaz versus Conor McGregor, probably the most hyped up fight of all time in the UFC, and yeah, it definitely lived up to its name without question. Like, those guys fought their heart outs, and it was honestly, from all the fights I've seen throughout my life, on combat sports wise, it's definitely the best I've seen. Like, they were just going at it. Like, I was surprised they weren't getting knocked out multiple times. But yeah, like, if you guys are into combat sports, definitely check out UFC 202. Not the one to miss, and it was honestly the most exhilarating fight I've ever seen. But yeah, and then there's that, and then there's one thing, like, oh my god, like. So for around 2 to 3 weeks, I just stopped looking at Craigslist for my games because, most games on there are games that I have or aren't really that collectible or rare. But man, there was this one post where the first picture was really just very common stuff, like, Assassin's Creed, Batman, and he said $15 per game. So, it's kind of, it's pricey, really pricey, but he had two games that actually were quite uncommon. One somewhat more common, but which was Marvel vs. Capcom 3 in a steelbook case. But the other one was a ridiculously rare game, Marvel vs. Capcom 2, and that one, I believe it's a GameStop exclusive that was released. It's originally on the PS2, but yeah, there's that, and I know copies for that. So far, the ones posted is 200 each on eBay, and there's only 2 copies too, which is, it's really not too many. And there was recently one that sold for around 110 or 20, brand new sealed. So yeah, definitely a rare game, probably one of the rarest games on the PS3. And someone fetched it for $15, and I was like, oh my god, the one time I don't check and the one time I choose to ignore it, it happens, but it's fine, But damn, yeah, like, that would have definitely been like the best find I ever had, but it's fine. I have a bunch of actually other finds that I got, and now that I notice, I pushed in on my games, but yeah, I'll definitely go off memory. One more thing is this is kind of like a feel like I don't know what to term it, but for people or like other YouTubers who make videos on rare collectible games, I feel like this is everything in our chest for most of us. And it's that like, in the end, it is our opinion, and it's mainly speculation, and it's not coming from a place of like a know-it-all kind of attitude or like a showing off kind of attitude. Well, there's a few out there that are like that, but you can definitely feel it immediately. But yeah, but I feel like for the majority of guys or girls who collect for the PS3, it's mainly about like sharing our love and like passion for it, and like really trying to find a community to like be a part of, and to make in a way. And yeah, it stems from that. It stems from, you know, passion and love for collecting for the PS3. So yeah, just keep that in mind, you know, before, you know, thinking of like, you know, at least for some people, I know most of you guys, at least my subscribers, are really nice people, but yeah, you know, there's a few out there that leave very harsh and rude comments that really isn't constructive at all. And you know, hopefully it's kind of a message to those people, and hopefully, you know, some good can come out of it. But yeah, one more quick thing, you know, in the end, it is my opinion. It's based on this point checking out 22 to 25 GameStops and other game stores, and you know, checking on eBay almost every day, checking on price chart for a lot of things, and reading up on reviews, and just, you know, just knowledge I've picked up over my time in liking games and buying games. So yeah, thanks for sticking through that long ramble, and we'll get started right away. Alright, the first game I want to share is Blur. This game is an arcade style racing game, probably the best one, and I think the only one for the PS3. It's kind of like Mario Kart, where you know, you drive around and you go crazy, and you pick up different bonuses, specials, weapons, bombs, or whatever, you know, and you try to destroy the car in front of you and win the race. And basically how the premise of this game works is you're a driver for this, and what do you call it? You pretty much gain fans, and as you're playing the game, you kind of have to do what fans want you to do, and you get big bonuses. And from what I know, it's a game that's really hard to get tired of, because there's so many things to do in each race, and it definitely keeps you on your toes, and it keeps you wanting to keep playing so you can earn more cars, earn more upgrades, and stuff like that. So yeah, it's honestly a really great game. I picked it up for $17, a little bit. I kind of paid on the higher side, I would say, because you could pick it up for $15 to $20, but it's definitely held its value within that price range. And at GameStop, it's $20, and it's also multiplayer. I heard, at least for the split screen, you don't really like feel the significance as much, just because you don't really get the bonuses. But great game, yeah, I'd definitely pick it up if you like Mario Kart style games with a bit more realistic cars and stuff. So yeah, that's Blur right there. And this game, I actually found this before I went back to SoCal. I believe at CEX, and yeah, you guys know how much I love slipcovers, and once I saw the slipcover, it automatically caught my eye, and at $4, I was like, okay, I definitely have to pick this up. And Dante's Inferno is kind of like a bootleg version of God of War, I would say, but it kind of does have its own unique flares, but you could definitely see that it borrowed a lot from God of War. Graphically, it's actually really nice, really well designed graphically. I think the premise of the game is you lose your girlfriend or something in the beginning of the game to Lucifer, and you know, he's doing his thing, and you're trying to save her, and you have to go through, you know, the different stages of Dante's Inferno, from lust to gluttony and stuff like that. And yeah, it's definitely like a copy of EA's copy of what do you call it, Sony's God of War. But yeah, it's an okay game from what I hear, and if you're looking for a God of War alternative, this is definitely it. And this game, value-wise, it's around 8 to 10 online. A bit harder to find the slipcase, so if you find it with the slipcase for like $4, definitely pick it up. Alright, and I'm not sure if that will even be collectible just because it's a bootleg God of War, but at least for $4, if you find it, I'd pick it up. Yeah, and I believe the Divine Edition adds a couple extra bonus content and stuff like that. And yeah. Alright, so the next one, this one is Dragon Age Origins, the Ultimate Edition. So it includes, you know, Dragon Age Awakening and the original Dragon Age Origins. And this game is actually not that rare. Like, you can find a copy probably in at least one of your local GameStops. It runs for around 20 on GameStop. I would say anywhere from 10 to 15 online. And at least for me, I got it in a 5-game bundle, and I sold 2 games. So it made it around $4 for this game. So that's mainly why I picked it up, because it was so cheap. And this is, I would say, one of the harder to find and a little bit more collectible Dragon Age game, aside from, Dragon Age BioWare. I would say this is definitely quite a bit more rare. But yeah, this one's actually, Dragon Age is actually an amazing game. It's really amazing game. It was originally, or not originally, I heard that the PC version is actually better because it has a lot of like real-time strategy kind of elements that naturally work better with the PC. But I actually heard the PS3 version, it's a little bit easier and whatnot because they have to adjust and whatnot. And but yeah, Dragon Age Origin, this is a game that like a lot of people could easily spend like 50 to like 100 hours on, because there's just so many quests to do. Like the story's so well developed, there's multiple characters you can play as, and actually like the gameplay is pretty amazing. There's no actual like moral system to the game where like there's a distinction between good and bad, but depending on the decisions you make, the people who follow you react a certain way. Like they might like you more, they might dislike you more, and stuff like that. So really every decision you make has an influence. And I also heard in fact that the stuff you read about various items and whatnot, like it's actually significant and relevant. So very, very, very well developed game, and I definitely know Dragon Age Origin is a lot of people's favorite game, or one of their favorites. So yeah, if you find this copy for relatively cheap at around like $4 to, I would say, even $10, I'd definitely pick it up. And even for 15, I think it's worth it. So yeah, there's that. Next one, this is Drakengard 3, my only Blue Label PS3 game. The Blue Label games are the very recent releases, pretty much the last releases for the PS3. And this game, it's on a lot of people's like possibly rare lists, mainly because Drakengard 2, it's actually fairly rare for the PS2, and PS2's been out for a while, so games that are worth around 20-25 on the PS2 are fairly rare games, and they're games that have definitely somewhat held its value. Drakengard 1, I believe, is only like $5, very cheap. But yeah, this is Drakengard 3, so the most recent gen release. And because, Drakengard 2 is relatively rare, the reasoning for this is that Drakengard 3 would automatically be sought after, because Drakengard 3, although it's number 3, it's actually the prequel. So yeah, there's that to it. And this game, in terms of price, it runs for $20 at GameStop, I believe. Online, you can find it for anywhere from $10 to $15, so it's really not that expensive. It's actually it's a pretty design for everything. Like, it's hard to see there, but yeah, it looks really nice. And the what do you call it? The graphics, when you look behind it, it looks really nice as well. But from what I know, in terms of like a review of this game, it's, at least in the beginning, it's kind of hard to really start liking her, just because she seems like a villain and she's trying to kill her own sisters. But there's the contrast of her dragon, who's very naive, very innocent, and so yeah, there's a nice balance between the two in that way. But yeah, and I also heard for the story, like for the majority of the game, you're not exactly sure like what the heck is going on, but I heard that once you unlock everything, which kind of gives you an incentive to really play this game, that they show that cutscene that really explains everything, and like it ties everything together and everything starts making sense. So yeah, so story is unique in that sense. Graphics wise, it's kind of half and half. Like there are parts that look really visually like pleasing and beautiful in a way, and there are other parts that are just pretty terrible. So yeah, and I also heard that it has some frame rate drop issues, especially when you get on the dragon. It drops to like 30, where it starts getting really choppy, and it kind of gets irritating when you see that. But yeah, in terms of the gameplay, this is like a mix of hack and slash and not exactly sure what, but from what I know, it's a bit different in terms of gameplay than 2 and 1, and it's also more linear. And you can you can label this game as kind of like the child of Dynasty Warrior and what do you call it? Devil May Cry put together. So pretty interesting game. Definitely a lot of background to this game, and yeah, I'd pick it up at around 10 to 15. Alright, next game I'm gonna share. This is Dragon's Dogma Dark Arisen, and I'm actually really excited to share this game because I would say that what do you call it? This is the most like, there's no English release for Monster Hunter. Like, I finally picked up the copy at $8 on eBay. But yeah, there's only Japanese releases for this game. I'm not exactly sure why, you know, they didn't release English, but maybe it's because they made it for the Wii at the time. Not exactly sure. But yeah, this is Dragon's Dogma Dark Arisen. This is actually a re-release of the game, of the original Dragon's Dogma, and pretty much the only difference is that it added a huge new world to it and a lot of additional features. Pretty much a new world. Like, in a way, it's like a huge expansion to that game. But yeah, this game looks really fun. Because as I was watching a review, like, it just straight up reminded me of Monster Hunter in a lot of ways. Like, some parts of it look like just straight up hack and slash, but wow, I might ramble, so I'll not ramble, and I'll just cover it when I cover Monster Hunter. But yeah, this game reminded me of the Fatalist from Monster Hunter and that one Iron Dragon that has like wind powers and whatnot. And yeah, it looked like a mix of the two, and Fatalist was really, it was a badass monster, honestly. Like, killing it alone was an almost impossible task. But yeah, they had a dragon in here that looked just like that, and I was just like, wow, this reminds me of Monster Hunter. It looks so nice. Definitely a huge visual upgrade. And it has RPG elements, you know, where you, and Monster Hunter-like elements where you like carve the monster for its parts, and then you can make armor and like weapon out of that. And also meat, I think you can extract, and stuff like that. And it also has pawns, which is like the equivalent to Monster Hunter's like the little cats that would kind of follow you and you know, help you out. But definitely pawns play a lot more significant role in this game in terms of assisting you. And also in the multiplayer, you can what do you call it? You can use other people's pawns, and yeah, that just makes everything all the more interesting. And yeah, it looks like a really fun game. It's made by Capcom, and it's actually still pretty pricey, at least at GameStop. It runs for around $18, I believe. This is the other game I got in that bundle with Dragon Age, so I paid around $4. But online, it runs anywhere from 10 to 15, and I think 10 to 15 is a pretty good price for this game. And it's another game where you can spend a ton of hours into it. Like, my top 2 most played games is probably League of Legends. Quit not too long ago, but yeah, that was really fun while it lasted. And it was Monster Hunter. Like, I was just so into that game, and I won't ramble too much. I'll talk about it when I talk about Monster Hunter. But yeah, if you want some sort of like Monster Hunter-like game that's in English, this is probably your best bet. And from what I see, if you like Monster Hunter, I definitely think you love this game. Yeah. So there's that. Next one is Family Guy. This is another one of those like TV show ported into like, you know, it's like the Stick of Truth kind of thing for South Park. It's published by Activision, and I believe, I guess I'll do the price first. In GameStop, I think it runs for $20. Online, you could find it for around $9 to $15 quite easily, so still fairly cheap again. But yeah, this game is a gigantic fan service to Family Guy. Like, if you don't love Family Guy, or if you don't really like it, if you haven't really heard of it, then it's probably going to be a very boring game to you, because gameplay-wise, it's like a heavily dumbed down version of Ratchet and Clank, where, you know, you have all sorts of crazy weapons and you just shoot. But yeah, I heard in terms of the story and in terms of the dialogue and in terms of the, you know, like the witty jokes it makes, it's really funny, and it's a really good fan service. And for me with Family Guy, I don't like exactly love, you know, Family Guy. Like, I'm not like a crazy fan of it, but my relationship with it is whenever I'm looking for a show, I just get in this mood where I just want a show where I don't really need to pay attention. Like, the story isn't really like that complicated, you know. and at any time in the show you can kind of jump right into it. And yeah, like that kind of just a mindless humor and very brash and unbelievable kind of humor. And yeah, when I need that fix, Family Guy was that fix. So yeah, there's that. And next one, this one is God of War. I'm not God of War. This is Godfather 2. Totally different. The first game is Godfather, and I believe that one was released originally for the PS2, and then re-released as the Dawn Edition, which includes a bunch of additional features for the PS3. That one's worth around $25, I believe. Saw it once, kind of pricey for me, so I didn't pick it up. But I picked up Godfather 2 for $5 in that bundle on Craigslist that I talked about. It's an old PS3 game. You can see by the top right there, label right here, red label right there. But yeah, this game pretty much, you play as the mafia, and then you go around to all sorts of different businesses, and you coerce them into paying you for your protection, pretty much. And from what I hear, when it was originally released, it was actually like, what do you call it? Just pretty broken, as in there were so many bugs, there were so many things that needed to be fixed, and it actually, yeah, a lot of people gave it terrible ratings for that reason, just because it was broken up in so many ways and almost felt unplayable at parts. But they released a huge patch which fixed most of the issues. And from what I hear from people who played the original game, this is actually a pretty good sequel to it. And with the patches, it's a pretty fun game too. So if you find it for a pretty good price, I would say anywhere from like 10 to maybe $12, or even less if you can, then definitely pick it up. And I definitely think it'll be collectible, considering how Godfather is definitely, the original one is a collectible game as well. And this game is somewhat hard to find. I definitely have not seen it too often at a GameStop. But yeah, there's that. Alright, next game. This is Golden Axe. The original Golden Axe, that game, it's more of like a arcade style beat 'em up, so totally different from this game. Yeah, this is an old release again, and published by Sega. I always talk about how, Sega games have collectability for sometimes the oddest of reasons. But yeah, when this game was released, I believe, it ran for, or the original price was $20 to $30, so it was really cheap to begin with, for a new game. But yeah, I definitely know for people who've played this game that they really think it's just a crappy game. And from what I can see, it doesn't really look too fun anyway. But yeah, I feel like part of the harsh ratings was because Golden Axe is like one of those games that like everyone, at least if not played, has like, who's into gaming, has at least like heard of, or at least heard mentioned, So yeah, for loyal fans of Golden Axe, I can totally see why they weren't really happy with this. But from what I know, after watching, I believe, Classic Game Room's review, pretty much you just burn people and slash people, burn people and slash people. And I guess, if you want some of that mindless fun occasionally, this might actually be appealing in that situation. So yeah, there's that. Alright, I'll probably cover around 2 to 3 more. I'll try to be quick about a couple of them, but this one is Journey, the collector's edition, and this is honestly like one of my favorite packages. It includes Flow, it includes Journey, and it includes Flower. And what I really love about this developer, I'm not exactly sure who developed it. It's published by Sony. Maybe Sony also sponsored that company, but yeah, with this game, it's like, wow, it's honestly, playing through these games is like an experience, and it's very simple, very basic, but so like beautifully designed, and like the gameplay is just so unique, and I really love niche games, and this is definitely one of those like niche game feeling games. Journey is probably the most popular among the three by far, but yeah, what I also love about this game is it really makes you kind of reflect on things, like, reflect on your life, your journey in life, no pun intended. And it also makes you reflect on, how we're affecting the world, and, how we're polluting things, destroying things. And yeah, just like, it's one of those games, like, while you're playing it and once you're done playing it, makes you sit there and, you know, kind of think. And yeah, and that way it's really amazing. And because of that, you know, a lot of people have like a emotional attachment to this game. At least what I know about Flow, like you're like this microorganism that goes around collecting things. I don't know too much about this game, but Journey I've played through, and it's an amazing game. So in the beginning of the game, you know, you're kind of in that exploration, like discovery stage of things where you're not really sure what's what. Like I was so confused in the beginning, personally, but yeah, and then you go to this one stage where it's like, you know, like you experience kind of turmoil. It's a bit darker, and like the visuals for this game is just so beautiful, and the soundtrack is also really amazing for this. But yeah, and then you go to that, and then you reach like the light at the end of the tunnel, and yeah, you really do feel like you're journeying through your own life. And the multiplayer is very unique. I don't think any game has ever done this, but you don't really get to choose, you know, a friend to play with, or you don't really have to click like to go into some sort of multiplayer server. It's just when you start playing this game, while you're playing it, someone will just randomly like pop up in the game, and it's a complete stranger, and you don't know his name or her name or anything, and you guys travel together, and the only way to really communicate is with these little like light bleeps, and then just bleep at each other and whatnot. So yeah, and then at the end of the game, once you're done with the whole game, you get to find out what their name was, and it's a very nice touch, and very cool game. And Flower is basically, it makes very good, like, it makes the 6-axis a core like function of the game. As in, you get to be a pedal and you travel around the earth, and you go through all these various environments, and you like rotate your controller to control it, and you sit back and you just run through the world, and you see, you know, all the destruction, pollution, and waste, and pretty much you know, you're traveling through the world trying to revitalize it and make flowers come out everywhere, and just see how the world in a more natural state, where, you know, buildings aren't all over the place, kind of look like, at least the beauty of it, and makes you think about, you know, the excessive amount of environmental degradation, damage, and pollution that we do cause, and that it is really something that's gonna be a big issue throughout our lives as time goes on. But yeah, this entire collection is really amazing. Actually, with this, you can I believe you can what do you call it, install it into the PS3, so you don't really need the disc anymore. But you know, I'm sure for all collectors, we're all gonna keep the hard copies. So yeah, definitely, if you find this, I'd pick it up. I personally got it in a bundle with Shadow of the Colossus. But yeah, if you find it for, I think it runs 12 to 15 online. If you find it for, you know, a bit less than that, this is one game, even for that price, that I definitely pick it up. But yeah, there's that. This one's reaching around 30 minutes, so I'm so sorry, but okay, I'll just leave these two for the other video. I was originally going to do these two, but yeah, I'll finish it off with these two. Alright, so this is Katamari Forever. I actually have quite an interesting history with this game. When I originally bought the PS3, you know, I wasn't thinking of collecting at all. I was just thinking of, you know, having a bit of fun with my girlfriend playing games. And yeah, Katamari was in that bundle. And when I saw it, I was like, oh, it looks kind of interesting, like Japanese style game, like, or it looks Japanese like, and it was kind of weird and kind of niche. And I usually like those games, but my girlfriend was like, you know, I played that game before, or like I played Katamari in general before, and basically just this guy who like bundles up all these things and makes it into a giant ball, and you roll it around, and kind of weird. And then I was like, like, it doesn't sound too fun from the way she puts it. But yeah, I guess later down the line I realized this is a collectible game, and kind of sucks because every time I walk into that GameStop, I see my copy just sitting there, and I'm just like, if only I didn't trade you in for $6-7. But yeah, there's that. And yeah, this game, it's Katamari in general has some sort of like a cult following. Like, they really love this. Definitely a solid following. And actually, most of the Katamari games, I believe all of them, actually somewhat held their price and are somewhat, you know, collectible, and definitely a game to have in your collection. And with this game, I actually heard that it's reminiscent of, like, some of the levels are reminiscent of the previous Katamari games. And The later ones are, of course, like brand new, and they're very interesting on their own. Overall, a really good game, very unique, very weird. So if you like those kind of niche, quirky games, then definitely pick it up. I picked this up. I think I just said it. I'll say it again. I think for around 13 bucks. I would say you can find it for around 13, 15, maybe 16 bucks online, and 20 bucks at GameStop. So if you find a good price for this, definitely pick it up. Sorry. Next one. This one is Killzone Trilogy. This is definitely not rare. I've seen brand new sealed copies of this many times. And I've also seen, used copies of it quite a number of times at GameStop as well. But the cool thing about this is it includes Killzone 1, HD, I guess, edited. And yeah, so Killzone 1 was a game for the PS2, and the only way to really play it on the PS3 is with the Killzone Trilogy. And yeah, it includes all 3 games, and it's relatively cheap, and I definitely picked it up. And alright, finally made the video to completion. This is my 3rd time recording this. Hopefully it was interesting. Maybe I didn't sound as excited as I was in the beginning because, this is the 3rd time I'm recording it, but oh, actually, I have one more last thing to show. One more last thing. So, I wanted to get a collector's edition or a limited edition, like some cool thing for one game and one franchise that I really care about. And I saw this for like 20 bucks at eBay, so I was like, 20 bucks is really not that expensive. So I picked it up, and I actually really like this. I originally thought it was just like cardboard, but it's actually really hard cardboard. And the front part of it is I'll turn this off, is pretty much metallic, and like it's really cool, and it feels really cool. And yeah, you just pop this off. It includes the game, and it includes, I believe this is a soundtrack for the game, and yeah, and I believe it also shows, like the making of it, like how they made it and whatnot. So yeah, if you're a big fan of Metal Gear Solid, the franchise, and especially Metal Gear Solid 4, probably one of the most, like, a really good game for the PS3. I definitely picked this up for around 20 bucks. And so yeah, I'm really glad I picked this up. And alright, so that completes, I guess, sharing the games. Once again, thanks for watching, guys. And I know this video was really long, and I know I kind of rambled in the beginning, but if you watched it all the way through, thanks for surviving, and thanks for your continued support. And mainly for this channel, I wanted to be about, like, not really putting ego in the forefront, like just sharing knowledge that we know and don't know, and like, just sharing that and learning more about collecting, and also just sharing our passion and love for collecting as well. So definitely, it's been a pleasure to be a part of the YouTube PS3 game collecting community. And yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I'll probably make another video probably within a week or so. And yeah, thanks so much for watching, guys.